I'm currently on the roof of a church. I don't normally find myself up here, but today I'm up here in Billings, Montana because of this guy. This is a Starlink receiver, and this church is streaming using Starlink. And in this video, I'm gonna show you how they did it, what we did for their setup, and how fast Starlink actually is, so stay tuned. Welcome to another edition of the Church Video School Field Trip Series. I am in Billings, Montana at Hope UMC Billings. When they reached out to me about 2 months ago, they only had about DSL speeds, less than 1 meg per second upload available, and maybe 20, maybe 10 download speeds max. Not enough to provide a quality viewing experience, and not even enough to hardline through a computer. They basically had to use an LTE connection, which is why they had a Mevo device set up, which goes through the Mevo app. I'm gonna walk you through everything that we set up, but first, let's start with the star of the show, which is the Starlink receiver. This little guy cost about 500 bucks. It showed up, they installed it, they plugged an Ethernet cable in, and it pretty much worked right away. There's a monthly service fee. It doesn't cost all that much. It keeps changing all the time, so I don't wanna lock in a number because they are still in the beta testing phase. But this was an incredibly easy thing to set up, and the speeds are honestly super fast. If you're in a part of the country that you don't have stable internet, or you're in a part of town that doesn't have good cable infrastructure and it's gonna cost you 6 figures to run cable to your campus, I would really take a look at the Starlink device. So I'm gonna show you here, pretty basic. This thing's actually on a motor, and this actually dynamically rotates itself to find the most available satellite that's closest and gets the best connection. So if you watch it really closely for long enough, you'll actually see it tilting and rotating a little bit, kind of moving in slow motion. It's actually tracking satellites as they go by, and it'll reposition. Once something leaves range, it'll actually find something else real fast. It's really incredible to see. Obviously, Billings, Montana gets a lot of snow. You'll be happy to know this thing actually has a de-icer built into it as well. It's a totally flat surface. It's not concave, so it actually melts anything that sits on it, and it doesn't really invite things to get compacted in there because it's flat. So that was a really smart design by the guys at Starlink to make this really efficient and reliable even in bad weather. Setup is pretty simple. Just find a clean flat area on your roof that's not covered by a bunch of stuff, and there's just one cable. It's got power and then bidirectional Ethernet running into the little device inside the building that's got routing and Wi-Fi capability. And once you do that, you're set. You can plug it into your own router to give you more access points and build a wider network. But as far as just getting internet, this thing takes about 30 minutes or so to get going, and the speeds are awesome. So anyways, that's enough about the Starlink. Let's jump inside. I'll show you the build we did, and then let's run a speed test and see just how fast Starlink actually is. All right, guys, let's take a look at what we set up here at Hope UMC Billings. So I'm gonna show you around what we put together here. So we've got a setup with a PTZ controller. We bought the manual one because they didn't have a computer. So we got a new M1, which I'm a huge fan of, running ProPresenter, A10 Mini Pro with a multi-view, obviously, 2 PTZ optics cameras, the 20X, and then the controller. Because we obviously need to control the cameras separately from ProPresenter, and it costs about the same amount to get a second computer, and this is really ergonomic. So if you haven't used one of these before, they are pretty sweet, and they're actually super user-friendly. So if you just want to move a camera, all you do is just push cam 1 or cam 2 after you've set them up. They're all on a local switch, so jump over here real quick. This is like a $20 8 input, mono price switch that we put everything into. So we've got one coming in from the Starlink router, actually, and we'll talk about Starlink in a little bit, which is super awesome. And then everything else just comes right into this, and it's all connected. So we got the M1, the A10 Mini Pro, both cameras, and the controller all going straight into this, which puts them all on the same network. And then over here, all you had to do, once we downloaded an app to scan the network for cameras on IP, is just add them in. And so you'll notice that our goal number here, that second number, if I get this in focus here, is going to change between 88 and 89, because that's just a different IP address for camera 1 and camera 2. Once I pick a camera, so I'm going to go, I'll show you on the multi-view here. This is camera 2 we're looking at right now, so I've got camera 2 selected, and if I want to just zoom in, all I do is just toggle the joystick, go right, go left, go down, go up, down, whatever. You get a little bit backwards. And then we've got some presets. So if I want to jump to something I've already selected, I just go to recall, and let's just say like number 3. I'm going to push enter, and you'll see the image. So it's already pretty close. If I go to recall 1 and hit enter, then it's going to zoom in on the piano player. So I'm pretty impressed with this thing. It took about 15 minutes to set up. And, you know, they're not super cinematic cameras, but for a small sanctuary like this where you kind of want cameras up and out of the way, it just ergonomically works better, especially with really limited volunteers. I actually will say this is pretty efficient. So I'm going to go back to 3 here. Anyway, so we got that set up. Those 2 cameras are set. I'm a pretty big fan. A10 Mini Pro, you guys have all seen these before, nothing crazy. We did this because it's just as simple as possible. We could have gone with the Extreme, but there's really just no need for all those inputs, and we don't need multiple outputs in this small of a church. So we just saved a few $100 and went with this. So we got it hardwired straight into the switch. We've got a SSD able to be plugged in right here. Simple, 1, 2, and 4. We have 3 empty right now. And then, yeah, we've got an old analog board. So if you guys are running analog, I'll show you real quick how you do that. This is going to get moved over to where the rest of the production stuff is in a couple of days. But for now, obviously analog board, there's only about 4 mics in use anyways. So what you want to do on an analog board, if you haven't done this already, is just pick an auxiliary output on the back. So I've picked this whole row across as auxiliary 1. It was wide open. Put a 1/4-inch cable in there. Run it to whatever style input you have, whether it's 3.5 mil like on the A10 Mini Pro, or whether that's going to be XLR for a larger switcher. This is a pretty easy way to make it happen. If you want to upgrade to digital, obviously you have way more control. But if you're running analog for the time being, this is how you want to do it. And if you have a bigger analog board, sometimes they have auxiliary outs that have stereo. So there'll be one aux out that's got a left and right, and that'll give you the ability to pan, which is nice. So we've got ProPresenter 7 obviously going to our multi-view here, number 4 in a lower third format. But there's actually a pretty big TV out there, and they're going to upgrade that. It's not quite big enough, but for the time being, it works. So to get around the Mac Mini, the M1's limitations on outputs, what we've got going, as many of you have seen and done before, is that we've got basic HDMI going out to this monitor out of the dedicated. We've got an USB-C to HDMI dongle, which is actually this guy right here. So that was pretty cheap. I think that was on either Monoprice or B&H, I can't remember. But it's not an adapter, so it's literally an HDMI cable that's got a USB-C on one end, essentially. I guess technically it's a USB-C cable with an HDMI on one end, but it saves you from doing dongle to HDMI cable, which is kind of nice. So that's a pretty helpful thing. It's been pretty good. I will say that when you reboot ProPresenter, a lot of times this connection works fine, and the Mac and number 4 over there, you'll see the second window show up as far as the Mac background, but it will think it's disconnected. So you kind of have to go into ProPresenter settings and kind of reset your screen configuration, which is annoying, but once you do it, it works, and for the rest of the day, so that's fine. We have for our third output for them to have stuff to the front of the room is we got the Ultra Studio Monitor 3G. So we got a Thunderbolt 3 connection out of here, so we're using both of those. So if you want to tether your ATEM through USB, you're going to have to go USB-A, but it showed up on the network, and we were able to do everything without tethering over USB, which is great. And so we're just going out SDI here, got a 100-foot cable out to there, and then we've got a SDI to HDMI converter, which pretty standard. The new ones, the USB, or the 3G ones, I'll show you, they have a USB power supply nowadays. So if you're looking to get these microconverters, the 3G ones are about the same price, maybe even $5 cheaper. It's a little dark in here, sorry about that, but you'll notice they have USB power instead of having the barrel type power plug, which means that if you can get a USB-A to USB-C, you can actually run power out of the TV itself, because most TVs have a power or a USB port. So we're going USB right here for power, and then HDMI in for signal. So these kind of adapters can then basically just live on the TV, and you don't need to worry about wall plugs or anything like that. So if you're hanging lobby TVs or anything like that, that can be a really efficient way to get your signal in there without having to run another cable to hide through the wall or behind the wall. So definitely a little feature that makes life easier. But let's go ahead and jump into Starlink, and I'll show you guys our speeds. All right, so the first thing I want to show you is that there is actually a Starlink Wi-Fi network. And what a lot of us don't know, and I had no idea, is that these Starlink dishes actually create a Wi-Fi network by themselves. So they have a cable in, cable out, but they actually create a local wireless network from the dish, which is super cool. I had no idea that you technically don't need a router to use Starlink, but obviously if you want to connect anything hard, you're going to have to buy a router or at least even a switch. The reason that there is a router is because the Starlink dish is on the other side of the building from here where we are in production, and it's just not really fast enough because of the signal strength. So there's a couple of different networks here that have been created, and a couple of these are from the actual Starlink dish, and a couple of them are actually from the router. So there's actually a little bit of chaos as far as that goes, because again, Starlink, like the IP address on these 5 gigahertz ones, are a different IP address and subnet than the other basic Hope UMC ones that are coming from either the router or the dish. I can't remember which is which, but that's a fun little factoid about Starlink. But we're hardlined in, so we've got Ethernet straight into the router that's going straight into the dish, so we have a pretty solid connection here. So SpaceX, Starlink, and we're gonna go see how fast our speeds are here. So you'll notice that your ping speed, if you're into that kind of thing, is pretty slow, which obviously it's satellite, so that's not super surprising. But to get 87, 88, 89, basically 90 megs down, and it's Friday at 2:30 in the afternoon. This is about the exact same as yesterday. Up, we're getting anywhere between 5 and honestly, we've gotten above 20. So it's been really quite strong. I mean, this is really good speed for satellite internet. I mean, it's kind of amazing. And I would say the uptime has been really consistent. We've done some stream tests for about 30 minutes or so, and I would say there's some hiccups that have come up, but they usually last about 10 seconds or so, and then they're fine. We've never had a stream drop, and we haven't actually seen it buffer on the other end. There's just been some stream health data from YouTube. So what I want to show you, though, is we're going to run the exact same test immediately after, and what I've seen is that you get pretty different results when running, even 5 minutes later. So this looks pretty similar. Yesterday when we ran the test 3 times in a row, we got anything from 89 or 90 up to about 55 up, within just minutes of itself. So I would say that's kind of a red flag a little bit, which is inconsistency. But if you think about it, they're still in beta test mode. This is still pretty much consistent, so what I'm seeing today. So far today's a little bit more consistent than yesterday. Now here in Billings, I don't know the Starlink details about availability over what part of the country and if that matters yet. But if you are in a tight spot in a rural county, I think you should really look into this. I think it's about $500 to get the hardware, and then there's a monthly service fee, and I'll have to look into what that is, and I'll link it in the description. But to get these kinds of speeds, the great thing about Starlink is, look at this. So we're getting double the upload speeds we were getting a few minutes ago, almost near 20. So this is awesome. As their speeds improve over time and their uptime gets more reliable, you pay the same amount of money. So they may change their pricing as they get out of beta testing, but you don't pay for tiers of speed. You just get what you get, and I think that is such an awesome part. So everything works great. We've had way better streaming than before they were using a Mevo. I think you guys saw that in the background of the walkthrough video, and I didn't really talk about it. But yeah, Mevo through a mobile device before they had Starlink, which I think about 3 weeks ago they got Starlink installed. Obviously, the cell data through a webcam to what they have now with PTZ through an ATEM, hardline through this, light years better than what they had before. So I'm really impressed. I think you should really give this a really hard look if you're struggling to get reliable internet at your campus. Yeah, as far as Starlink goes, Elon, good job on it. I think this is going to revolutionize video and live streaming quality and availability for not just the United States, but globally as well. And I'm really excited to see where this goes. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in today. Make sure you like and subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know if you like these videos so I can keep making more of them for you. This church is pretty small, and we were able to get everything done under 10 grand, including installation for them, starting with literally nothing but a table. So if you're interested in getting a system built for you, whether it's 5 grand or 25 grand or more, I would love to help you get there. So click the link in the description and book a time, and let's make it happen. All right, guys, that does it for this field trip video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.